While in the Sapar restaurant in Donetsk, Alexander Zakharchenko, the Prime Minister of the Donetsk Peoples Republic, and his bodyguard Vyacheslav Dotsenko were killed in an explosion by a bomb. Along with these leaders, 11 people were injured, including Natalia Volkova, who was suffering from third-degree burns on 60% of her body. The Sapar restaurant in Donetsk is known to be frequented by families with children. Following the murder, at least 200,000 people attended the funeral and the procession of Alexander Zakharchenko in the center of Donetsk. Zakharchenko is survived by a wife and 3 sons. Borodba, a communist group formerly based in the Ukrainian capital Kiev before exile, released a statement saying that Zakharchenko was an implacable fighter against the Ukrainian neo-fascism and oligarchy, a figure legitimizing the Minsk Accords. Moreover, he was a symbol. The Communist Party of the Donetsk Peoples Republic said regarding Zakharchenko that a real leader who devoted himself to serving his people and state has perished. The name of Alexander Vladimirovich Zakharchenko will take a worthy place in the history of our country. On behalf of the Communist Party of the Donetsk Peoples Republic, I express deep sorrow and condolences to the family, relatives, and friends of Alexander Vladimirovich Zakharchenko. This attack on the people of Donetsk is nothing new, as the Ukrainian military has been murdering the people for their resistance to the rise of fascism and the power of the oligarchy in Ukraine. Despite a peace agreement in 2015 made between Ukraine and Donbass in Belarus, coined the Minsk Accords, the Ukrainian army has continued to shell the Donbass region with no repercussions and, in fact, support from NATO. Donetsk, despite a popular Western belief, is not a part of Russia. Along with the Lugansk People's Republic, they are independent states that just refuse to be taken over by fascism. This murder of a beloved and elected leader of the people of Donetsk comes as 12,000 Ukrainian troops gear up in the Ukrainian-occupied Donetsk Oblast region in the city of Mariupol, preparing for further attacks on Donetsk, as reported by the Operations Command Deputy Edward Basarman. For those who may not know, Donbass has seceded from Ukraine following the violent Euromaidan, which was supported by the United States. The events that led up to the rebellion were the rise of neo-Nazis in Ukrainian parliament, who were supported by the United States, the violent May 2nd massacre led by neo-Nazis in Odessa, where at least 48 people were killed, and no one has been punished for, and the forced exile of communists and anti-fascists if they weren't killed, and the Crimean referendum where 95% of Crimea voted to leave Ukraine and joined the Russian Federation, and the establishment of the neo-Nazi group Azov's own battalion in the Ukrainian army. As you can see in these pictures, these are Azov neo-Nazis who are in the Ukrainian army. John McCain, Justin Trudeau, and many other Western leaders have been known to be supportive of fascist leaders in Ukraine like Oleg Tahinbuk and Andrei Parobi, who have spoken positively about Adolf Hitler and the 1940s neo-Nazi Stepan Bandera. This is a picture of John McCain with neo-Nazi Oleg Tahinbuk. Paraboy said the greatest man who practiced direct democracy was Adolf Hitler. The United States had been training and arming this fascist army in its campaign to bring Donbass to its knees. Congress this past year had passed a bill that it would no longer directly fund the army because of large presence of neo-Nazis. So instead, another one of the U.S. proxy states, Israel, has been training the Ukrainian army. As reported by the DPR authorities, 12 people have been taken into custody as suspected of being involved in the attack. The DPR authorities reported that the attack was carried out by the Secret Service of Ukraine, who was trained and funded by the U.S. Ukraine is used by the U.S. as a proxy against Russia for their allyship with Syria. All the people that get killed, all the Roma women who get their throats slit by Ukrainian Nazis, all the children in Donbass who get their schools shelled, The funding of right-wing groups in Syria is all a play for power by the US imperialist beast. Russia and Syria have both condemned the attack on Donetsk. Before I end, I want to dispel some rumors about Zakharchenko. Zakharchenko is not Russian. He is ethnically Ukrainian. The last name itself, anything that ends in enko, is a Ukrainian last name. Zakharchenko was appointed by the people of Donetsk, not Russia. Russia does send money to Donbass as the world has turned its back on the state fighting fascism and imperialism. Zakharchenko was not right-wing. He wasn't necessarily a communist either, even though he said his hero was Fidel Castro. We have that in common. He was just an anti-fascist at its core. We extend our solidarity and support for the people and the states of Donetsk and Lugansk. We thank these people for staying strong against United States imperialism and fascism. Solidarność Donetsku I Lugansku.